Hello and welcome to another episode of the Crimson Podcast. I'm your host, Jack Martin, joined by Charlie Quinn, my co-host. And today we have a very special guest, the Somerset Hills Board of Education President, Mrs. Frenda. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So today we're going to be talking about the referendum, a vote coming up in March of 2026. On a proposed plan for many changes throughout the high school, middle school, and elementary school, lots of renovations. So we're just going to be talking about today. Charlie, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so Mrs. Frenda, we were hoping you could kind of explain a couple of the changes that the referendum is going to bring if it's voted in, just in case our listeners don't really know what it is.
Sure. So the referendum is basically, it is a package where we are asking to be able to make what we consider critical upgrades to the district that we can't do through budgeted funds and through capital reserve. So what we did was we created, with Dr. Brochel and our architects, a long-range facilities plan to identify all of our areas in need and to identify projects that would enhance the educational opportunities of the district and to upgrade our facilities. So in line with our district goals for 25 and 26, we had identified specifically that we want to, and you guys probably know this through your course offerings, that we wanted to continue to grow dual enrollment opportunities and to focus on career technical education. And also it has been a goal for the district, but specifically for the board, but specifically for the district now, to prioritize planning for STEM, robotics, career technical education curriculum, and to prioritize that in our long-range facilities plans.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was our jumping off point for how we did this.
Got it. So some of these projects include a culinary arts lab at the high school,
Yes.
Renovation of like the STEM labs, physics and chemistry.
Yep.
How did you kind of like decide like that's what we need to do? Like it, and also following up like the culinary arts lab, like will that become a course that students can take?
Yeah, so great questions, and that also it completely aligns. So obviously, I think we all know, and you guys are at the age where you're going to start thinking about colleges and careers, right? And I think we're all very much aware of the importance, emphasis on STEM in terms of college readiness, career readiness, and really there are just so many ways in which that applies to the technical, to career technical opportunities, any kind of avenue that you would want to go post-secondary. STEM is really huge, as are robotics and career technical education. I know you guys are probably all familiar with our county vocational school, but there are certain things that we want to be able to provide for our students in-house, and to also those things kind of overlap with possibly being able to enhance like dual enrollment possibilities and things like that. So again, that was really defined by our district goals that we had set, where we were really focusing on those areas. But additionally, it's also a simple fact of upgrades and maintenance. Our labs at the middle school and the high school are in need of, at the very least, a refresh, but more so really to provide the students and our staff with the necessary equipment and facilities to be able to give you guys the best curriculum and education.
Yeah. Another portion of the referendum is the introduction or addition of murals into the hallways.
Yep.
Would students be involved in that process?
So that's a great question, and I think that as we evolve through that process, that is definitely something that we can look to, and that Dr. Brochel, in coordination with our architects, can investigate, because branding should very much reflect the culture and the climate of the schools and the things that are going to make our students and staff feel most at home and happy to be here.
Yeah. So I kind of want to get into like the planning part of it.
Sure.
Like it's. I was looking at the website and it said it started in summer of 2024, which I believe was like just after Dr. Brochel was appointed superintendent. Is that correct?
So he came on, I think, in 2023. Right?
Okay.
We're in his third year. So he came in 23, 24, 25, 26. So like the overlap, he was here for the 23, 24 school year. 24, 25, and now we're going into his third year.
Okay.
So yes, but it was very soon after he came in, and that planning really took place as part. We needed a comprehensive long-range facilities plan. So everything that we're doing for the referendum was an outgrowth of that long-range facilities plan because we needed to get an inventory and basically like an audit of where the district was because, while our focus is going to be on specific things and you see in the referendum that there is some high-need roofing that will be replaced and worked on, there are other things throughout the district that aren't quite as exciting, like maybe, parking lots or sidewalks or things like that. So it's basically you do this inventory and then you kind of audit it all and see where everything is, what are the conditions of these things, and what can we realistically absorb through our budget and our capital reserve, and to be able to address those things in an ongoing way, and what do we really need to actually put in a package and put to a vote so that we can really make some impactful changes that fall outside of that budget planning.
Yeah. A big part of that budget planning was this whole idea of an expiring debt.
Yep.
Could you explain that a little more and what that means?
I will do my very best. So basically, when the district goes out to bond, and you're bonding debt, basically, and we've done that in the past. I know you guys are probably all aware that we did it for the PAC many years ago, and so it's typically a 20-year bond. So as that bond starts to fall off, or portions of it start to fall off, you now are getting a release from that debt service payment that you have to make. So if you're in the unique position to not need anything for your district and you can let that debt roll away, that is phenomenal. I don't know many districts that will ever find themselves in that position, but we do have a unique opportunity right now with the need versus where we are. So we are literally just going to be taking the debt that is expiring, and we are going to replace it with the exact amount of debt that we planned. So when we were picking things, our architects made sure that the amount that we were going to be spending fit exactly into that existing debt replacement, which is at about $38 million.
Yeah.
So what that means for everybody's parents and the rest of the community is that your taxes won't go up.
Yeah.
So if this were to be voted on and passed and we're able to begin to implement, nobody's taxes are going to go up. Your taxes stay neutral. They remain as they were before, which is a unique opportunity to be in because typically when you go out to referendum, there is some type of tax increase associated with it. So this is a really, and then you just have, you have to weigh those things. Each voter does. So this is a unique opportunity that we have.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So another big part of the referendum is that it's kind of a flexible timeline, if it's voted on, as to when these projects will be implemented. So it says that some of the work will be started in 2026 and then 2027 and then finally be finished in 2028. Do you think that there are going to be certain things that are prioritized first for the classes of 2027 and 2028?
So a lot of that is going to depend on when we go out to find our service providers, what type of availability and lead times they're on certain things, right? So like I know you guys probably even know maybe during COVID and in many years after, there were a lot of issues with getting things like HVAC, electronics, certain parts that, were just very difficult to secure. So although we're not quite in that position anymore, there are still other things that impact our availability and cost of getting certain elements that will be required in the process. The other piece of that is timing. So obviously we're not doing any new construction. When you're doing new construction, it's a little bit easier to kind of go throughout the school year perhaps without impacting education or the learning environment because you're not near student learning necessarily, you're not near classrooms. In this case, because it's going to be mostly upgrades and any other construction that's going to be taking place is going to be at existing buildings, we really have to kind of work around a after hours summer vacation schedule. So it's really going to be also the availability of those providers that are going to be doing our work and the resources. So of course, included in this referendum, there are a lot of security measures. Certainly, you're always going to prioritize security measures, right? You want to get those up and running as quickly as possible. But it's really going to be a host of things that are going to impact that. And that's what we will work with our architects on to determine how we can best get that rolling.
So you mentioned like the tax support and how pretty much no one's gonna have to pay taxes, right?
Okay, everyone has to pay taxes.
Oh, no additional taxes.
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
How did you decide like what projects are not going to be in the referendum? Because you couldn't go above a certain like money limit. So what projects? Because there's like mention of roofing.
Yep.
So how did you decide that?
So when it came to roofing, I mean, those of us that own homes know how much roofing is, and that is a tiny little bit of square footage. Roofing for the district and for buildings this size obviously comes at a great cost. So when we decided on roofing, it was kind of the same as everything else we were discussing. What is in greatest need, right? So you actually can do that. You can identify the areas of the roofing that are in greatest need of repair, that have aged out. So when looking at everything, that was kind of the lens that you looked at it through, was where are our biggest areas of concern, and where is the lifespan on these existing things. So with the roofing, that's how we're looking at it. And then again, like through capital reserve and things like that, we can continue to address those kind of replacement issues. The same way we would do with like HVAC that we've done recently. That's basically how you make that determination. And then again, the facilities pieces that we identified were really curricular needs that we had identified that would be in the best interest of the students.
Right. Yeah, so this isn't the district's first referendum. There was one, I believe, in 2015. So is there the possibility that we see these projects that are maybe being pushed to a later date appear in a future referendum 10 years, 15 years down the road?
It could, if those are things that are not as dire need, certainly they could be packaged in another referendum in the future. The ideal way of doing it is to look at, annually, to look at your facilities plan, your long-range facilities plan, and identify things that we can actually absorb through the budget and address. But if in the next 10 years, you start to look again, and you're like, oh, these are things that we really need, then certainly if a future referendum is needed, you could go that route. There is additional debt that will be expiring, that the district holds, that will be expiring. So that's kind of like a wait and see, and how we're able to manage through budget resources and the level of priority. When we did do that long-range facilities plan, there was a prioritization system that was used. So we have all of that kind of coded, and we can address it on an as-needed basis.
Awesome. Thank you.
Going from like the vote in March of 2026 to when projects are actually going to start up, what's that like in between process like of like finding a vendor? And
Yeah. So typically when you go out for vendors, you're going through a bid process, and that's very well defined by the state and how you have to do that. And you go out and you ask for people to apply to do these projects, and then they submit. They have to submit applications, and you must, like if you're going through the bid process, you must accept the lowest bid that meets the requirements of the project that you've put forth in these applications. So if you go through a bid process, that's kind of what that looks like. And then there are cooperative opportunities. There are co-ops like with pre-approved vendors that you can also go that route. It depends on the size and expense of the project. But that is, those are things that the district will work with in conjunction with the architects, because the architects, this is kind of what they do. They kind of guide that train. But regardless of what that looks like, we will do all of that as it is outlined by state, county regulations, and how you have to go through that process depending on your project and thresholds for what we can spend.
Right, yeah.
And if there's kind of like a final message you want to throw out there with the vote of coming up in March of 2026, like what do you want the people to know? Like why should people vote for this, pretty much?
So from the perspective of the district and the board, is it goes to a vote. So every taxpayer has the opportunity to decide themselves if they think this is worthwhile or not. The reason we have gone this route is primarily if you look at the things that we're focusing on beyond STEM, CTE. You mentioned the culinary arts room, which would be a huge boon for kids that that are very interested in things like that. It would be over in the STARS wing, so it would create some overlap in an area for gen ed students to kind of get over there, and those kind of interactions between our students. And then of course security enhancements, which we would hope that everybody sees the value in increasing security across all of our buildings. But really the issue at play here is we've been able to do a lot of facility upgrades even over the last 3 years, right? Everybody has seen the new track, the new turf, the lights, right? And upgrades to the baseball and softball fields. We're so proud to have been able to do that. So we really want to focus on these academic spaces now and current academic opportunities and preparing you guys for the world you're going to go out into and the careers that are going to be available to you. And we consider that our responsibility and the responsibility of our community to be able to ensure that we can provide for you guys in that way, because you are our priority, and we need to be able to provide you with the best education and experience to enter the world that you're going to go into, whether that's college, the workforce, or really all the opportunities. That's what we're here for. That's what we need to do for you guys. So that would be my plug. This is kid-centered, kid-focused academic achievement and preparation for the future. So, along with the things that you've mentioned, like roofing improvements and branding, which just overall enhances the environment and makes it a better, happier place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on this episode of the Crimson Podcast.
My pleasure. I'm so honored that you guys asked me to be here.
Absolutely.
And that you guys are engaged in the referendum process. Nothing could make us happier.
Of course, it's our pleasure.
Okay. Thank you guys so much.
And that'll about do it for this episode of the Crimson Podcast. I've been your host, Jack Martin, with Charlie Quinn, and we'll see you next time.